Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into Living Room Concepts 796.
It's amazing what we can unpack from a single image.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
more than just furniture. It's a whole vibe. Okay, first impression. This living room isn't afraid of color.
Absolutely. This charcoal and blush pink scheme, it's bold. And the analysis suggests that it creates a luxurious feel, which makes sense with your modern style.
Right, but they also called it dynamic tension, which sounds a bit much for just chilling on a sofa.
Right. But it's that contrast, the dark against the light, those smooth textures next to the geometric rug. It makes you want to look closer.
Like a visual puzzle. Speaking of looking closer, they even figured out what's beneath the surface. Polished concrete, MDF panels.
That's good design, thinking out every layer. Like the sofa, it's not just about the color. The analysis suggests it's probably high-density foam, so it'll last longer.
And those pendant lights. So sleek, no cords hanging around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're probably hardwired, creating that clean look. Your eye goes straight to that blush pink sofa.
And we can't forget those teal accents. Adds a whole other dimension, wouldn't you say?
Totally. They're using a classic color triad. Sounds technical, but basically it's just 3 colors spaced evenly on the color wheel to create balance.
And it works. But those teal ottomans, as much as I love them, I have to admit, the analysis made me think maybe not the most practical for movie night with a crowd.
Right. You see those ottomans and you're drawn to them, but then you have to think, will this work for me day to day?
Exactly. Striking that balance between stunning and livable.
And that's where the flooring comes in. They suggest polished concrete or maybe even stone tile. Very cool and contemporary. But
maybe a little cold on the feet. I see where you're going with this.
exactly. They suggest that wood might be a good idea. Warms up the whole feel. And a larger rug.
So we're balancing that sleek, modern look with a bit of cozy, livable comfort.
And that's where that geometric rug comes in. It ties the colors together. You've got those teal and blush tones, but it also adds some fun with the pattern.
A little playfulness in an otherwise minimalist design. And speaking of minimalist, those nesting coffee tables are almost invisible.
That's the beauty of them. They could be powder-coated steel, so super durable, and the tops may be glass or wood veneer. Each material changes the look and feel.
It's crazy how these little choices elevate the whole design.
Totally. And you know what else? They suggest that this room might need some personality to make it less showroom, more lived in.
Time for those personal touches, like what?
They suggest strategically placed plants. Maybe something tall in that corner to break up the lines.
Ooh, I like that. And what about some artwork? Doesn't this room feel like it needs a statement piece?
Totally. A large abstract painting, maybe? Or even a series of botanical prints, something that works with the color palette without being too matchy-matchy.
It's all about those unexpected elements.
Exactly. And don't forget about everyday items. The analysis suggests things like art books, interesting ceramics, or even a bowl of fruit. Just those little details.
It's like they're saying, don't be afraid of personality.
Exactly. Now, remember how we were talking about the room feeling a bit dark, especially if it doesn't have much natural light?
Yeah, with the charcoal walls and ceiling.
Well, they suggest using different kinds of lighting to create a layered effect. So not just the pendants, but maybe floor lamps or table lamps, even sconces.
Lighting can really change a room.
Completely. And they also talk about verticality, or the lack of it. Right now, everything's pretty horizontal.
I see what you mean. Like it's all lined up perfectly, but it needs something to shake things up a bit.
Right. And that's where a tall floor lamp would come in, or even artwork hung a bit higher.
An exclamation point for the design. Okay, so we've talked about the look and feel, but what about actually living in this space? What does the analysis say about making it functional?
Such an important point, and they really focus on it. They say, think about how you'll use the room. Do you have people over a lot? Kids, pets?
You have to think about those things when you're designing a room, especially the living room.
For sure. So if you love to entertain, maybe you switch out the ottomans for a bigger coffee table, or if you have kids, you'll want durable fabrics.
And pet-friendly materials if you have furry friends.
It all comes back to making sure the design works for your life.
Form follows function.
Right, exactly. And speaking of which, let's go back to the colors for a second. The analysis makes an interesting connection there.
Oh, I'm listening.
Remember the whole color triad thing with the charcoal, blush, pink, and teal?
The color wheel wizards.
Exactly. Well, they pointed out that those colors create a sense of tranquility and balance, which makes sense for a relaxing living room.
So you're saying it's not just about what looks good, it's about the feeling you get from the colors.
Exactly. It's like the colors are setting the mood.
That's pretty cool. It's like a subliminal message.
Right. And it shows how much thought goes into these designs.
It's not just throwing things together. It's about all these little decisions.
And that leads into another important takeaway: the importance of a strong concept.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Basically, it's the main idea behind the design. For this living room, they wanted to create a space that was luxurious, but also comfortable. Modern, but inviting.
And they did it.
Exactly. And the analysis says that having a strong concept is what makes this room work. It's the foundation for all the other choices.
So if someone's feeling inspired to redesign their own living room, what's the takeaway here?
Before you even pick up a paintbrush, think about the kind of space you want. What kind of feeling are you going for? How will you use the room? What do you want it to say about you?
So it's all about finding your own design concept.
Exactly. It's like a roadmap for your design.
I love that.
Okay.
So we've really dug into this one living room. But does the analysis give any insights into bigger design trends?
Great question. And yes, it does. They say this living room shows some trends that are really popular right now, like bold colors, natural materials, minimalism.
A good mix.
Definitely. And they think these trends are going to stick around. People want homes that look good but are also functional and sustainable.
It's about more than just appearances.
Exactly. It's about creating a space that feels good to be in.
Well said. Well, all this talk about design makes me want to go redo my living room.
Me too. But before we get carried away, let's recap what we've learned from Living Room Concept 796.
Sounds good. What are the key takeaways?
First, don't forget about that concept. What kind of space do you want to create? It's like setting the stage. You need that vision to guide you.
Exactly. And then you can get into the details, the colors, the materials, and don't be afraid to go bold.
Right. Living Room Concept 796 proves that a little contrast can make a big difference.
Yeah, whether it's with color or texture, or even the size of the furniture. And what about those hidden details?
So important. They really elevate the whole design, like good lighting or a beautiful rug.
It's about creating a whole experience.
Exactly. Now, as tempting as it is to follow every trend,
You have to make them your own.
right, so maybe you swap out those ottomans for something more practical or bring in some vintage finds.
Because your home should reflect your style, not just the latest trends.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Try something new. If it doesn't work, you can always change it up.
Exactly. Design is all about trying things out.
It's a journey.
It is. And most importantly, have fun with it. Create a space that you love.
That's the ultimate goal. Well, this has been an eye-opening deep dive. Thanks for joining me today.
It was my pleasure. Until next time, happy decorating, everyone.